হ্যালো আমেরিকার আজকের আয়োজনে আপনাদের সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমি তাহিরা কিবরিয়া। এনটিভি থেকে প্রচারিত আজকের অনুষ্ঠানটি আমরা একটু ভিন্নভাবে সাজিয়েছি। রয়েছে আমেরিকান চিত্রনির্মাতা লিয়ার লেভিনের সঙ্গে একটি বিশেষ সাক্ষাৎকার। বাংলাদেশে মুক্তিযুদ্ধ চলাকালে একজন আমেরিকান চিত্রনির্মাতা তাঁর ক্যামেরায় ধরে রেখেছিলেন যুদ্ধ আক্রান্ত মানুষের যন্ত্রণার ছবি। ওই ঘটনার প্রায় 2 দশক পর তাঁর তোলা ছবির ওপর ভিত্তি করে নির্মিত হয় প্রামাণ্য চলচ্চিত্র মুক্তির গান। আমেরিকান ওই চিত্রগ্রাহক লিয়ার লেভিনের সাথে কথা বলেন আহসানুল হক।
Lear Levin, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited seeing you for the first time today. And I was watching Muktir Gaan just before coming here. And I was watching the way you shot the documentary. A lot of tight shots. It's such a human story and one of the biggest catastrophes in human history. And I was thinking that, it was kind of a godsend. You took those pictures, and after 20 years in your basement, sitting those footages, somebody came and, made a wonderful documentary out of it.
It was like a good wine. It took 20 years to mature. I'd put it down to lucky breaks. It was funny coincidences. Tarek Masood was related by blood to the gent who led the musical group that we traveled with. Somebody bumped into somebody else on the Princeton University campus and mentioned that they knew where I existed and that I had footage that his cousin had talked about. He got in touch with somebody else. They called me, he called me. He showed up on my doorstep. It's just one of those things. It's a series of coincidences. And, it was great for him, and it was great for me, and it was great for Catherine. But whether it was, destined by divine sources or not, I can't really be sure. I'll call it coincidence.
When I was watching the documentary, and it's a blessing that you love tight shots, because when the members of that cultural troupe, like Mahmoudur Rahman, Benu, and Lubna Mariam, and Tariq Ali, and the other people on the truck, on the back of the truck,
Right.
They were sitting there, and the camera was each one of their face, and Tariq Ali was describing what they were doing. The way you started to tell the story, it's amazing stuff.
বাংলাদেশ মুক্তি সংগ্রামী শিল্পী সংস্থা নামক ভ্রাম্যমাণ এই দলটির সাথে প্রত্যক্ষ বা পরোক্ষভাবে যুক্ত রয়েছেন আরও অনেকেই।
Documentaries are difficult, and that wasn't a pure documentary. I had more than just a point of view. Usually you go into a documentary and there's a statement you want to make. But I felt it had to be more. And the more time I spent doing it, the less it became a news event, much to my wife's chagrin, because she had a feeling, and she's always right, she had a feeling that if I got too involved, if I shot too much, if I made it too long, people might not be able to grasp the enormity of it, or I might not get it released, or it might take too long to finish, and all of that happened. But it's what I wanted to do. It was my time, it was my money, and I figured, what the hell, I might never get a chance like this, and I totally fell in love with the Bengali people. And one reason to shoot them close is it put me closer to them. The men, the women, the children, they were breaking my heart. And, sometimes my eyepiece would fill up with tears so much I couldn't shoot. It was heartbreaking and heartwarming, and it was one of the greatest thrills of my life.
And then you stayed in the Mukto Anchal, which is near the border area between Bangladesh and India,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. It was interesting. I remember one night we got on a train, and it was full of soldiers, and they were singing along with our musicians, and they were beating out rhythms on their weapons. And I thought, what an interesting I was photographing it. They were singing and they were using their weapons to resonate the sound. I thought, this is very unusual.
Soldiers of which country?
These were West Bengal Indian troops. They were all like kids. They were all young. And they were patrolling along the border, and we were on a train with them at night. It was fascinating, a lot of interesting stories.
The thing that strikes me about the way you shoot is the humanity of it, the way you capture it in close-up, so that, you know, I don't know whether your wife would agree with that, but I'm a great admirer of tight shots.
You shoot tight, you shoot loose, you know, you coverage, you do reverse angles, you do low angles, high angles. In the final analysis, with the editor, you make those choices. So you learn early on in filmmaking to do a lot of coverage. You can't always do that in news work because it just happens and then it's gone. But because I really wanted to cover this, because I thought maybe this could go longer than 10 minutes, maybe it could go 20 minutes, maybe it could go 30 minutes, maybe it could be a film. It was so important that I did a lot of coverage and I did a lot of staging, which really doesn't make it a documentary anymore. I just enjoy the process of filmmaking. I shoot still pictures now. I'm a fine art photographer and I'm retired from film for about 15 years. But when you pick up a movie camera, it's quiet. This was a new camera. It was specially designed for what I needed. People don't know you're shooting. You just have your sound man lurking around with that microphone, a shotgun microphone, so he doesn't have to get too close or she doesn't have to get too close. And you really concentrate on a person's life. You can really get tight, you can get loose, you can move around them, you can pierce them with the lens, you can go right to their heart. And that's the thrilling experience of shooting movies, I think. I miss it. You know, it's gone past me now, but I miss the thrill. And being interviewed by you and being asked questions about my time over there brings back the memories, and I savor them. It was one of the great moments of my life.
You know, the great thing is, in 1971, I was 1 year old, so I don't have any memories of 71, what it looked like, what it felt like to go through that period of time. But when Tarek got those footages from you, and then he put it into a documentary film, and then it was released in Bangladesh, it was such a big thing because people like myself and younger people, they found something so that they can relate to 71. Wonderful visuals, colored, and human faces talking about their miseries, and people dying of starvation, and refugees leaving the country, and things like that. So the younger generation, I think, will always feel grateful to you because you gave us something through which we can relate to 71. When I was watching it, every time I watch Muktir Gaan, it makes me cry. And that's the thing that you have done, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your generosity. Catherine Massoud edited the film with Tarek, and she's a brilliant woman. And Tarek was so lucky to have her by her side. And she was really the person that convinced me to turn over my footage to Tarek. He was a bit of a rebel in 1971, but he was so handsome. I wished I could be that handsome. And Catherine was so loving and such a brilliant woman that I was sort of helpless at their fingertips. And I'm so glad they did such a brilliant job. You owe everything to them, really. They're the ones that unearthed it, and they're the ones that delivered that baby. And I'm glad it grew up to be so important. And I'm glad it entertains you and moves you. And it moves me to hear that it moves you. And it moves me deeply to know that the people of your country, feel strongly about me. And thank you so much.
হ্যালো আমেরিকা, আজ এ পর্যন্তই। আশা করি আজকের অনুষ্ঠানটি আপনাদের সবার ভালো লেগেছে। আমাদের ওয়েবসাইটের ঠিকানা www.voabangla.com। এখানে জানিয়ে রাখি, ইউটিউবে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানের ভিডিও দেখতে পারেন VOA বাংলা চ্যানেলে। VOA বাংলা ফেসবুক ফ্যান পেজে আপনার মতামত জানাতে পারেন। আগামী সপ্তাহে একই দিন একই সময়ে এনটিভিতে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান দেখার আমন্ত্রণ জানিয়ে আজকের মতো বিদায় চাইছি। আমি তাহিরা কিবরিয়া, ভয়েস অফ আমেরিকা।